Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It's Thursday, November the 6th, 2025, and today's topic will be a continuation from yesterday. It will be about developing these sword poses. But I'm going to focus on this one. Yeah, I'll link to yesterday. It has more details and it took me 10 minutes. And I think today I'll do the same thing. I was thinking I might do like a time-lapse kind of thing, but I feel like it'll be more helpful if I just do a real-time 10-minute kind of sketch. But yeah, I just looked up sword fighting, and so these were from imagination, and I feel like there's just a lot of kind of ideas I have about all of that. Like one, like I found a lot of good pictures of sword fighting and stuff. Yeah, you could sketch from that. Like I call it just doing studies, and then you can also even do like a copy to really get all the details. But then if you're wanting to sort of create your own characters that look consistent and also just learn how to draw from imagination, like that's kind of what this is. But at the same time, if you have like a lot of ideas and a lot of things to develop, it's kind of the thing that, so this is sort of a method, and I've been like practicing it for a while now, especially for the channel. So with that said, like this guy I think could be in armor, because I looked up like sword fighting on Pinterest, for example, and I just saw a lot of like reenactment type stuff, and so it's like a mixture of things. I didn't find this exact pose, and I don't really need to, so I think today would just be an example of that, like maybe like using different references. The main thing is to have like a process, and so I wanted to show how to have something like this. So for example, like if you have this kind of page, like this doesn't look bad, like to me, like this is a work in progress, or like just sketches or doodles or whatever. But if you can do this, like that's pretty good. I mean, a lot of times, like that's fine. That's how you can kind of just sketch every day or whatever, sketch ideas. But then the next step might be to develop it. So I have a lot of videos kind of talking about like the next, like kind of, or like the process. So for example, with this one, I think about it in terms of not detailing, but in terms of like light and dark. And if you outline this, that is light and dark, because the line that's dark is because it's turning from the light or whatever, or like contrasting or something. So for example, you can have this open area, there's no line there, but it implies light and dark because of like the dark lines. Before we begin, yeah, welcome, and I'll start a 10-minute timer. That's what I usually do. So yeah, I'll start a 10-minute timer and I'll start sketching. So if you're wanting to like warm up, like I looked up some pictures, and there's just, it's going to be like a mix and match of things. So for example, I like the idea of, and part of this is just the pattern of it, but it's also the function of it, which is the armor. So I like so I wanted to show like how you can just go off of what you already have, and you don't have to like redraw stuff. And so that's just something that I see a lot, where I'll see people have pretty good sketches, like kind of like this, but then they go to develop it and they lose what was good about it, like in my opinion. So one thing is, let's say that you're just wanting to set up like the pattern, which is what I like to call the light and dark. So for example, like this, it starts to establish a lot of stuff. I've talked about how light and dark sort of does a lot of heavy lifting. So this already sets up like a pattern, and it already like stands out, like there's focus here, and it does a lot of heavy lifting. It implies a lot of things, and so I would just do it in sort of stages and stuff. So like right here, like the drawing is already here, and you can sketch it in, you can go like this. Let's say you go like that. And that comes from learning to draw, like the figure and stuff. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm being a little bit more kind of deliberate, but still pretty loose about it. So it's kind of a mix between like that kind of very sketchy look and then moving into like tightening it up. So I'm staying like in the lines a little bit, if you will. And yeah, I wouldn't like overthink it. Like I wouldn't sit here and be like, unless I can tell, like this can be left open, or I might want to incorporate it because I'm using pen, but I would just kind of like take my time with that because you're establishing the light and dark. So this is like leather boots, for example. Like it could have been armored. So this is just a mix and match of things. So the other thing is, I'll use another picture for kind of like this part. So for example, I can kind of see like this part. Again, like the line is right here. That's light and dark. And so as I'm looking at the reference, I'm going to kind of think about like that's like light and dark, and that it goes with all the other videos that I did about stuff like the overlapping forms. But I mean, I like to draw these armored things because of like the shapes and everything. So in the reference, I'm just going to do this because, again, just to establish it. Like as you're looking at reference, you'll see that there's lots of different varieties, and just like in real life, like the armor would look kind of different. So that's like a sketch line. I'm just gonna incorporate that. I'm gonna turn it into something, and that's kind of why I like to sketch with like a pen, because you'll get things like that, and you're not gonna remember everything. But it's, again, this is just kind of a way to like mix and match different things. Either draw from imagination and then look up something, like do studies, or go ahead and just draw something from the reference. Like there's a reference picture, but then simplify it to where you can understand it. What else? So the helmet, different options. I'm just going to go with this particular picture, like this upper body. I'm just going to kind of stick with the reference. So for example, I'm just going to do that. Like that's establishing light and dark, but it was a sketch line. And then same with like this one. I'm just going to, again, just, so it's like a step up from that previous thing. And so in the reference, it's more of a front view. So I don't really see the, and yeah, just take your time with it. But like, I don't really see like the back view, but I'm just going to kind of pretend. Now there's another picture where I can kind of see like more of a side view. This picture, the person has like a tunic type thing. I'll just leave that off for now, because I kind of like the seeing the armor. So in this view, I can kind of see, again, it's like a mix and match of things. So I'm just kind of looking at the pattern. And then like the leg armor. And then you can be more like detailed about it. So there's like chainmail right here. Again, it was a mix. So far, 3 different reference. There was the reference for this part, and then kind of an idea for like the helmet came from another one, and then kind of a little bit more of a side view right here. But it also gives you ideas for, that's why I like to use reference, because it gives you ideas for like the lighting. Because I mean, lighting is pretty complex. I mean, you can keep it kind of basic, like there's a lot to it, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking at reference, obviously. Again, this is just kind of a way of combining them. So I found like a sword that was like kind of big, kind of like this. So what I'll do is use a straight edge. Yeah, I mean, I'd recommend a straight edge for a sword, but you can kind of sketch it in to begin with. And you can either clean that up digitally or go in with like a white marker or put a background and then just incorporate it. Like this could look different, the guard, but I mean, I'm not going to worry about it. That's actually 4 different references, because the sword came from another picture, because I saw like this bigger sword. And if I really needed to change it, I would have erased it somehow, like paint over it. And then from here, it's really about just making the drawing look good. I probably won't do another video of this, but that's like, I found some pictures that I could use for this, for example. It's just kind of, yeah, this could be more about like the sword. This one you could, that's 10 minutes. This one you could like move this character if you're kind of curious, like, so I'm not looking at anything here, I'm just looking at this character. You can move the leg, I mean, I don't know, like, and then this. Like, I call this like iteration. But yeah, that'll be it for today. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.